So it's not every day that you get to sit out in a wheat field, and I thought I'd take this opportunity, seeing as how I'm working beside one these days, to talk a bit about wheat. So there's been a lot of controversy right now about Monsanto and about their famous chemical Roundup or Glyphosate being found in all sorts of foods. And what's crazy is that people are shocked about this. And I think the reason that people are shocked is because they don't really have an understanding of how wheat is processed, how it's grown, how it's used. And so I thought I would give you my perspective, because I'm somebody that grew up in a cake factory, and a bakery actually, so we've used a lot of flour over my lifetime. And I also thought I'd give you my permaculture perspective, because I've been involved with farms now off and on for the last decade, and so I've got a bit of an understanding of how this stuff is produced. So the first thing that happens in conventionally grown wheat is that the field gets sprayed with Roundup. This is assuming they're using a no-till method. There's lots of different ways of growing wheat, so not every wheat field is going to be grown this way. This is kind of conventional, new tech wheat growing. And so the no-till system was kind of touted as being very ecologically friendly because they weren't releasing carbon and causing soil erosion. And so instead of tilling the soil like they would have typically done, they instead just spray it with Roundup to kill off any weeds. Then a few days later they come in and they plant these guys, which is what produces the wheat plant. So it sits in the ground, some rains come, it germinates, and it grows. And they may spray other things throughout the year depending on if there's pests or any kind of other issues with the crop itself. And then as the plant matures, then they will end up typically spraying the entire crop with glyphosate or Roundup. And this is so that the entire crop dies and, in other words, ripens, because once it dies it starts to dry off, and it ripens uniformly. And so they're actually killing the plant. Now what's really crazy about that is that the grain that we consume has this little husk on it right here. And the husk is what gets used when you make whole wheat bread. So this is covered in glyphosate if it's being desiccated. Okay, and this gets ground up. Let me see if I can get a better shot of this. This gets ground up and goes into your whole wheat products, whatever it is, crackers, bread, cereal. And so you're getting a full dosage of glyphosate when you eat this kernel, which is being coated with the spray. So you might not actually be gluten intolerant, you might actually be glyphosate intolerant. Now the other interesting thing is that there could be other phytochemicals in here. Dr. Guthrie, in his book The Plant Paradox, talks about how unripened, or plants that are not naturally ripened, end up having more lectins in it. And lectins are an anti-nutrient that plants produce in order to protect themselves, because they can't run away like other animals. And so plants that are unripe turn out to have more lectins, which actually are a direct cause of a lot of autoimmune diseases, if you read and listen to some of the stuff that Dr. Guthrie is talking about. So it might be that we're all suffering from Roundup or glyphosate intolerance, or even instead of being celiac, we might be Roundup-iac, or whatever you want to call it, because we're all getting pretty large doses of the chemicals that are on the husks here. If you find this repulsive, I think that it's a really great idea to send a letter to all the companies that are using wheat that's conventionally grown, Quaker, General Mills, even Cashew I've heard, and ask them to do glyphosate testing in the products that you choose to purchase. If that's not an option, I highly recommend that you buy organic and or potentially just start cutting some of the grains out of your diet. We have got to vote with our dollar. If you found this interesting, guys, hit the subscribe button below, give me the like button, it helps the channel to track, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.